Mandy wasn't just a film, it was a celluloid nightmare, a heavy metal ballad screamed into the void, soaked in psychedelics, and forged in the fires of grief. But behind the blood-soaked veneer and cosmic visuals, it was a deeply personal exorcism, a movie fueled by loss and a desire to create a new kind of mythology. Before Nicolas Cage ever picked up a battle axe, the director was channeling the ghosts of his parents, turning mourning into a cinematic monster. The star they cast wasn't the cult leader the director initially envisioned, but the grieving warrior who understood the film's broken heart. And the world they built? It was a phantasmagoric landscape of 80s nostalgia, prog rock album covers, and a mac and cheese vomiting goblin that became an icon of the bizarre. These are 20 weird facts about Mandy, a film that explores the kaleidoscopic nature of love and rage and proves that sometimes the most profoundly strange art is born from the most painful realities. Some revolutions start with a memory. This one started with a scream. Number 1. A Tale of Two Griefs. Before it was a psychedelic revenge epic, Mandy was an act of mourning. Director Panos Cosmatos began writing it around the same time as his first feature, the stark and controlled Beyond the Black Rainbow, in the years following the deaths of both of his parents. His father was the notable action director George P. Cosmatos, the man behind Rambo: First Blood Part 2 and Cobra. Cosmatos has described the two films as the yin and yang of his grieving process. Beyond the Black Rainbow was the inhale, a film about suppression and feeling trapped in his emotions. Mandy, in stark contrast, was the exhale, a raw, outward expression of those feelings of loss and rage. He became fascinated with the revenge genre as a vehicle for catharsis, but wanted to create a story where the person being avenged was as central as the avenger herself. The entire film is a journey through the stages of grief, from the idyllic, quiet love in the first half to the explosive, blood-drenched fury of the second. Number 2. The Cage recasting. Nicolas Cage's turn as the vengeful lumberjack Red Miller is so iconic it's difficult to imagine anyone else in the role. But initially, Panos Cosmatos approached Cage to play the villain, the narcissistic cult leader Jeremiah Sand. The director envisioned the conflict as a battle between a younger generation, represented by Red, and an older, corrupted one. However, Cage, who was going through a difficult period in his own life, dealing with his father's passing, a divorce, and a broken foot, felt a profound connection to Red's character and his journey of loss. He saw the role as therapeutic. Despite the producer's initial hesitation, they eventually realized Cage's personal investment was exactly what the part needed, adding a layer of genuine haunted emotion to Red's eventual explosion of rage. Number 3. The Belgian Shadow Mountains. The film is set in the remote wilderness of the Shadow Mountains in the Pacific Northwest of 1883 AD. The pine-scented forests and majestic landscapes feel authentically American, evoking a sense of isolated, rustic dread. However, the movie was actually shot thousands of miles away in the Wallonia region of Belgium. The production team found locations that perfectly mirrored the intended setting, managing to create a believable slice of Americana in the heart of Europe. The decision to shoot in Belgium was primarily for logistical and budgetary reasons, but the result is a testament to the crew's ability to transform the landscape into the hallucinatory world of the film. During the shoot, the crew even had a close call, accidentally setting fire to a historical site they were filming in, a moment of real-life chaos that mirrored the film's fiery climax. Number 4. The Analog Soul in a Digital Body. Panos Cosmatos is a devotee of celluloid, and his original vision for Mandy was to shoot it on 16mm film to capture a gritty 80s aesthetic. The first page of the script even jokingly announced, "This film is presented in 16mm anamorphic format." Unfortunately, the budget wouldn't allow for the cost of film stock, forcing them to shoot digitally with ARRI Alexa cameras. To compensate, Cosmatos and Benjamin Loeb employed a host of old-school techniques. They used vintage Panavision Primo anamorphic lenses, which are famously large and add their own distinct texture and flair, and they also added a significant layer of film grain in post-production and used a variety of colored filters, just as cinematographers did in the 1980s, to give the film its saturated, dreamlike look. The result is a movie that feels like a lost artifact, a grungy VHS tape and a pristine digital print playing at the same time. Number 5. The Ghost of Jóhann Jóhannsson. The haunting, synth-heavy, and metal-infused score of Mandy is an essential part of its identity. It was one of the final works of the brilliant Icelandic composer Jóhann Jóhannsson, who tragically passed away from a drug-related overdose just 7 months before the film's release. The film is dedicated to his memory. Jóhann, known for his more classical and ambient scores for films like Arrival and Sicario, fully embraced the film's heavy metal soul. He collaborated with Stephen O'Malley of the drone metal band Sun 000 to create a soundscape that was both a loving homage to 80s prog rock and something entirely new. The score was largely complete before his death, with his co-producers carefully curating the remaining cues to finish his work. The result is a powerful, menacing, and emotionally resonant score that became one of his most acclaimed. Number 6. The Cheddar Goblin Manifestation. manifestation. One of the film's most bizarre and unforgettable moments is the appearance of a fake 1980s TV commercial for a mac and cheese brand featuring a grotesque vomiting mascot called the Cheddar Goblin. This moment of surreal comedy, which Red watches after suffering an immense trauma, wasn't a found piece of vintage television. It was created specifically for the film. Director Panos Cosmatos and producer Josh C. Waller came up with the idea while spitballing in a production office. They outsourced the creation of the commercial to Casper Kelly, the director of the viral Adult Swim short Too Many Cooks, and practical effects artist Shane Morton. Morton revealed the vomit was a disgusting concoction of 20 gallons of mac and cheese, pineapple Faygo, and lemon jello, which the child actors had to endure being covered in for hours. The original Cheddar Goblin puppet now resides in Panos Cosmatos' home. Number 7. The Cenobite Bikers from Hell. The Black Skulls, the demonic, leather-clad biker gang summoned to do the cult's bidding, look like they rode straight out of Clive Barker's Hellraiser. Their origin within the film is deliberately ambiguous. They're described as former drug couriers who took a special batch of LSD from a mysterious figure known as the Chemist, a potent dose that shattered their minds and possibly opened a doorway to another dimension. This tainted acid trip may have turned them into something more than human, desensitized to pain and capable of surviving incredible injuries. They are summoned by a strange stone flute called the Horn of Abraxas, a name with roots in Gnostic mysticism and demonic lore, further blurring the line between whether they are simply insane drug addicts or supernatural entities. Number 8. The Failed Folk Singer and Charles Manson. The film's villain, Jeremiah Sand, is a chillingly pathetic and terrifying figure, a failed folk musician who has built a cult around his own fragile ego. Actor Linus Roche, who plays Jeremiah, delivers a performance that is both grandiose and deeply insecure. A key influence for the character was the infamous cult leader Charles Manson, who similarly was a frustrated musician who channeled his rejection into manipulation and violence. Cosmatos and Roche didn't want to do a direct impersonation, but instead captured the essence of that type of toxic, failed artist turned messiah. To bring Jeremiah's terrible music to life, Cosmatos himself wrote the lyrics for a song years before filming, creating a piece of psychedelic folk that is perfectly and hilariously awful. Number 9. Forging Red's grief into a weapon. After the death of Mandy, a broken Red forges his own instrument of vengeance, a beautiful and brutal battle axe. This weapon wasn't just a random design, it was specifically based on the F from the logo of the iconic Swiss extreme metal band Celtic Frost. The director described the weapon as a crystallized object of his grief, a physical manifestation of Red's pain and insanity. It's more than just a tool for killing, it's a piece of folk art born from rage. The combination of its design as a lumberjack's axe and a reaper's scythe visually connects to Red's profession and Mandy's earlier premonition of seeing the Grim Reaper. Number 10. The Chainsaw Duel from Hell. One of the film's most visceral and memorable action set pieces is a bloody chainsaw duel between Red and a member of the Black Skulls. This complex, dangerous sequence had to be filmed under immense pressure. The production crew had only one night to shoot the entire fight. It was a nightmarish experience that required meticulous planning down to the millimeter to ensure both the safety of the actors and the successful execution of the scene's brutal choreography. The result is a stunning piece of action filmmaking that feels both wildly over the top and terrifyingly real, a highlight in a film packed with extreme violence. Number 11. The Kubrick Connection. Director Panos Cosmatos has cited Stanley Kubrick as a major influence, and Mandy contains a direct nod to the legendary filmmaker's final work. The title character, Mandy Bloom, was named after the escort who saves Tom Cruise's character in Eyes Wide Shut. This isn't just a piece of trivia, it reflects Cosmatos' deep appreciation for cinematic history and his tendency to weave his influences into the fabric of his own unique vision. The film's highly stylized visuals, with their meticulous composition and use of color, have also drawn comparisons to Kubrick's work, blending high art aesthetics with grindhouse sensibilities. Number 12. The Real-Life Cult Leader. In a strange case of art imitating life, Linus Roche, the actor who so convincingly played the manipulative cult leader Jeremiah Sand, has real-life experience with a spiritual organization. He is reportedly one of the organizing leaders of a group called Enlighten Next, which focuses on meditation and spiritual awakening. This bizarre coincidence adds another layer of weirdness to the film's production history. While his real-life spiritual pursuits are a world away from the homicidal narcissism of Jeremiah Sand, his familiarity with the language and structure of such groups may have lent an unsettling authenticity to his performance. Number 13. The Chemist's Tiger. In his quest for vengeance, Red encounters the Chemist, the creator of the Black Skull's reality-shattering LSD, played by Richard Brake. In the film, the Chemist keeps a caged Bengal tiger, which he apparently uses to test his product. However, in the original script, the pet was something far less intimidating, a lizard. Actor Richard Brake only learned of the change when he arrived on set, with Cosmatos casually informing him, "Oh, by the way, Lizzie's a tiger now." This last-minute change added another surreal and dangerous element to an already unhinged sequence in the film. Number 14. The Sincerity Behind the Bloodshed. While Mandy is packed with gonzo violence, chainsaw fights, and demonic bikers, characters, its true power comes from the genuine sense of love and loss at its core. The first act of the film is dedicated to quietly observing the gentle, loving relationship between Red and Mandy. We see two outsiders who have found solace in each other, sharing quiet moments and conversations about their favorite planets. This sincerity is crucial. It makes the subsequent explosion of violence feel earned and emotionally resonant rather than just exploitative. The film treats its characters' feelings with respect, making their tragic story the anchor for all the psychedelic chaos that follows. Number 15. The 2-minute scream. Nicolas Cage's performance in Mandy is legendary for its cage rage, but one scene in particular stands as a masterclass in controlled chaos. After discovering Mandy's fate, Red locks himself in a brightly lit bathroom and unleashes his grief in a raw, nearly 2-minute-long primal scream, all while chugging a bottle of vodka and clad only in his underwear. This scene, captured in an unbroken shot, is not just an actor freaking out, it's a carefully orchestrated emotional breakdown that's both horrifying and heartbreaking. Cage worked with a screaming coach to perfect the vocalization of Red's pain, turning what could have been a meme-worthy moment into a powerful depiction of a man's soul being torn apart. Number 16. The fake book and the real song. Early in the film, Mandy is seen reading a fantasy paperback titled Seeker of the Serpent's Kiss. The book, with its evocative heavy metal style cover art, seemed like a perfect artifact from the era. However, the book is not real. It was a prop created specifically for the film. The title itself, however, has a deeper meaning. Seeker of the Serpent's Kiss is also the title of the haunting track by Johann Johansson that plays during the scene, creating a beautiful meta-commentary that links the film's physical world with its musical soul. Number 17. A King Crimson opening. The film's opening credits are set to the song Starless by the English progressive rock band King Crimson. This musical choice is layered with meaning. The song is from the band's 1974 album titled Red, a direct and intentional connection to Nicolas Cage's character, Red Miller. The choice to use this specific song establishes the film's deep-seated connection to the aesthetics and sounds of 70s and 80s prog and metal, setting a tone that is both melancholy and epic before the first line of dialogue is even spoken. Number 18. The color-drenched nightmare. The vibrant, oversaturated color palette of Mandy is one of its defining features, drawing comparisons to the Italian giallo horror films of the 1970s like Dario Argento's Suspiria. Cinematographer Benjamin Loeb used a technique called panaflares, introducing colored LED lights directly into the camera lens to create a soft, dreamlike glow. He and Cosmatos would often light scenes in ways that defied natural logic, prioritizing emotional truth over realism. The color red in particular permeates the film, not just as the main character's name, but as a visual motif for love, rage, and the hellish nightmare world Red is plunged into. This creates a visual language where color tells as much of the story as the characters do. Number 19. From box office bomb to cult sensation. Despite the critical acclaim it received after its premiere at the Sundance Film Festival, Mandy was a commercial failure at the box office, grossing just over $1 million against a $6 million budget. However, the producers anticipated this. Their strategy relied on the video-on-demand market, where they expected the film to find its audience. What they didn't expect was the high demand for theatrical screenings, which forced them to extend the film's run and rework their entire distribution model. Mandy quickly became a cult phenomenon, celebrated at midnight screenings and solidifying its status as a modern cult classic, beloved for its uncompromising vision. Number 20. The legacy of a psychedelic masterpiece. Mandy is more than just a revenge film. It's a singular work of art that defies easy categorization. It's a heavy metal rock opera, a psychedelic fever dream, and a heartbreaking love story all at once. The film helped launch what some have called the Cageascence, a resurgence of appreciation for Nicolas Cage's unique acting talents. It stands as a testament to the power of personal filmmaking, a director's brave attempt to grapple with his own demons and create something beautiful and terrifying from the ashes. It doesn't just ask you to watch a story of revenge, it drags you into a sensory abyss of grief, rage, and cosmic madness, leaving you with images and sounds that are impossible to forget. It's a film that proves that in the right hands, a simple story can become a portal to another dimension.